We are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the Q&A webinar for the Transforming Cancer Navigation with Open Data and APIs challenge. My name is Jamie Elliott. I am from HeroX, and it's really great to have you all here. This is an exciting and important challenge, so really thank you for taking the time. A few housekeeping items before we get started. This session is being recorded, and the recording will be posted tomorrow, if not Monday, on the HeroX website. If you are already following the challenge, you will get an update that that recording has been posted, and you can view it there. If you're not following the challenge, we highly recommend you do so. We'll be sharing some slides. You'll be hearing from our panelists here who will introduce themselves as we go. And then you will all have the opportunity to ask questions. This is a Zoom webinar, so at the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A pod. You'll also see a chat pod. We ask that for any questions that you have, please submit them using the Q&A pod. You can submit questions throughout the entire webinar. We will, once we get through the presentation section, which is not that long, we will switch over to a Q&A session so that you all have that time. At any time, you can ask questions on the challenge forum, which we will show you here in just a moment. So with that, we're going to get started, and I'm going to hand it over to Lucas Tramontazzi from Innovation Horizons. Lucas.
Thank you, Jamie. If everyone can just bear with me as a moment as I pull up the screen. All right, fantastic. Thank you all for joining today. Again, my name is Lucas Tramontazzi. I'm Senior Vice President at Innovation Horizons, one of the supporting organizations in helping to coordinate this year's challenge on transforming cancer navigation with open data and APIs. This is an open innovation competition designed really to improve the experience of cancer patients by navigating data and technology. This challenge is hosted on the HeroX platform that Jamie will step us through in a moment. And it really invites developers, healthcare innovators, and data scientists to propose solutions that enhance patient navigation and services using open data sets and APIs. We'll talk a little bit about it in a moment, but the challenge offers a total prize pool of $50,000, and we're accepting submissions through April 3rd of 2025.
Sorry, Lucas, real quick.
Yep.
We're not yet seeing your screen.
Oh, you're not seeing my screen? So
not
sorry.
Yet.
Hold
no,
on.
no, no.
Let's see.
Zoom has that extra step.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay. Are we good to go now?
We're good to go. Thank you so much.
All right. That's a little embarrassing. Thank you all for your patience. So why this particular challenge? And I think this graphic recording really kind of captures the challenges that patients face when attempting to receive cancer treatment, both with the providers and then loved ones who are on this journey with patients. So again, navigating cancer treatment is very complex. It involves multiple healthcare providers, appointments, support services, etc. Many patients and caregivers struggle with fragmented information, lack of personalized guidance, and difficulty accessing the right resources. 68% of cancer patients report feeling lost in their treatment journey, and that all experience some level of information overload, leading to increased stress and decision paralysis. Although existing systems exist, they fail to provide holistic integrated support, and they often lack that integration with available open data sources and digital tools that can improve accessibility and decision-making. So this challenge seeks to bridge some of these gaps through innovative digital solutions that streamline access to essential services and information. The goal of our challenge is to inspire the development of digital solutions that harness open data sets and APIs to provide real-time, personalized support to cancer patients. We want to improve the availability and accuracy of information while ensuring interoperability with existing healthcare navigation services. And ultimately, the solutions proposed should enhance the patient experience, enable them to navigate their treatment journey more efficiently with greater confidence. So we challenge solvers to focus in on 5 key areas. First, help patients aggregate their medical records by leveraging these APIs to create seamless longitudinal health records for navigators and advanced analytics. The second thing is to utilize AI-ready data sets, integrate clinical, genomic, and outcomes data with machine learning and visualization tools. The third is to integrate with open data, incorporate those public health data sets, the cancer registries and APIs into existing or new navigation solutions. The fourth is to sync with social needs APIs, one of the kind of the newer sets that are available to you. And then the last is to adopt standardized screening for social determinants of health to identify and address care barriers leading to better patient outcomes. And that solvers will then be asked to showcase their solutions by demonstrating how they integrate open data sets to improve navigation, enhance care coordination, and empower patients and caregivers. So what are we looking for? Participants should propose digital solutions, whether it's an app, a platform, or another tech-enabled tool that leverage open data sets and APIs to improve cancer navigation. You'll hear from one of our collaborators, Andre, from MITRE, more about some of these available APIs. We encourage ideas that enhance patient access to tailored resources, such as support services, clinical trials, and treatment information that improve decision-making. Solutions must be user-friendly, scalable, and designed with real-world implementation in mind. And so with that, this challenge really represents an incredible opportunity to make a tangible impact on cancer patient experience and the potential for industry-wide transformation. If you're passionate about leveraging data and technology for meaningful change, we encourage you to participate. So again, visit the HeroX challenge page, explore these requirements, and submit your solutions by April 3rd. We can't wait for your ideas to come to life, and we really thank you in advance for your participation in this challenge. And with that, I'd like to now introduce Antara Ayama from Academy Health, who's sponsoring this challenge.
Great. Thank you, Lucas. And hi, everyone. It's great to be here. And thank you for taking the time to join us. So like Lucas said, I am from Academy Health, and I am a Senior Director of Digital Health and Innovation here. And who is Academy Health? So we are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to improve health and healthcare for all by advancing evidence to inform policy and practice. We are a professional home for thousands of researchers across the country here in the United States who study our healthcare system to understand what works for whom, in what context, and at what cost. So if you're familiar with the field of health services research, this is what that embodies. And as an organization, we offer programs that equip our researchers with the skills, the opportunities, and resources to advance their field. And then we don't let the evidence just stop at publication. So as an organization, we also work to ensure that the evidence generated reaches the right hands that can turn those findings into real-world health applications and improvements. So our field of studying the health system is not possible without open access to data and ongoing innovation to advance healthcare. And this is where this challenge fits in. So as a trusted convener and facilitator in our field, we are really proud to administer this challenge with the organizations and people that you see here on the panel. And on behalf of Robert Wood Johnson, provide a cash prize of $50,000 to the winner of this challenge. And in addition to the cash prize, Academy Health is also home of a nationally recognized conference. You may or may not have heard of it, which is called Health Data Palooza. And it's really an integral platform that attracts both public and private collaboration and top decision makers from both the government side as well as the private, where real talk and real action happens to address hard things in healthcare and move them forward and find solutions to address them. And so I just shared with the panelists, we just signed our contract, and you're all the first to hear about when the conference will be. But the conference will be held in Washington, D.C., and in a space called the Ronald Reagan Building. It will be a day-long conference on September 5th with a welcome reception on September 4th. And so we will be making sure that there's space in the agenda to announce the winner of this challenge. So it's really a great opportunity to make sure that your ideas and innovations don't just stop at the challenge and the cash prize, and that we're kind of giving you the awareness and visibility of decision makers who can potentially partner and advance this idea with you. So yes, like Lucas said, we're really excited to see your ideas and see what you bring us. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Jamie to take us through the challenge.
Thanks so much, Antara. That's really exciting. It's really exciting to hear that you all have selected your date, confirmed that, and that these solutions will get some face time there. So that's very exciting. All right. We're now going to take a look at the challenge page, all the resources available to you, walk through how you would go about submitting, and then we're going to hear from our final speaker, Andre, in just a moment about the MITRE resources that were provided for this challenge. So this is the challenge page. If you haven't been there, we highly recommend you go. We'll drop the link into the webinar chat for you all. We assume most of you have seen it because you're here. That's how you found out about this webinar. So this is the challenge landing page. The page you land on when you come to the challenge is the summary. This is the summary tab, and this is where you get all the information about the challenge. Everything you need in order to prepare your submission. Now, there are additional resources and there are other things you can go look into, but the way the HeroX platform rolls up information is so that you can come here and find out exactly what is expected of you. So the flow of the challenge guidelines, we have an overview of the challenge. Then we have all the organizations that are supporting this challenge and have coordinated with us. These organizations have participated in several different ways. They were a part of challenge design. They helped us get the word out about the challenge. They helped provide judges who will be reviewing the applications, the submissions that come in. And a lot of them will likely be at Health Data Palooza to see your winning submissions, which is really exciting. All right, then we get into the challenge guidelines. So a little bit more about the challenge, why it's important, which you heard some of from Lucas, what the background is, why does an organization decide to put money towards this in this way using a challenge competition? Oftentimes it's because they haven't seen enough movement in a certain space, and they need to kind of stimulate the development of solutions towards a certain problem. So that's what's happening here. And then we get into the real protein of it, which is what is expected of you. What is the challenge that you are supposed to solve? And so here are the objectives, and these are the same objectives that Lucas had in his slides. And we will also, in addition to the recording, we'll make the slides available on the resources tab following today's webinar. So how do I win? Very easy. Just meet the judging requirements, address the submission form questions, and score higher than everyone else. So it is a competition. Keep that in mind. And in order to compete, you have to answer all the submission form questions thoughtfully, which we'll take a look at, and meet the judging criteria, which we'll also take a look at. Here's an overview of the prize, which Antara mentioned. It's exciting because we get to award multiple prizes for this and have some categorical prizes. So please submit. One of the reasons folks do challenge competitions is because we often get solutions from non-traditional solvers. What we call non-traditional are the organizations or the people that wouldn't typically go after a contract or a grant. Challenge competitions lower that barrier by making it easier to submit to something like this. So We really hope you put some time into your submission and submit by April 3rd. We have the challenge timeline, which I'll look at more in depth in just a moment when we get to that tab, and then the judging criteria. The judging criteria are very, very important. So the judging criteria and the submission form are your two most important pieces as you prepare your submission. And the judging criteria are in weight order. But keep in mind that every criterion was put here for a reason. So they're all important. We could have put a lot of things there. The other very important thing about the judging criteria is the descriptions. The descriptions are purposely written as questions. And these are the same exact questions that the judges will ask of your submission as they're scoring them, as they're reviewing them. Which means as you prepare your submission, you can be asking these same questions of your submission. Have I met these things? How well am I demonstrating this? So really dive into the judging criteria. Then the rules. Please make sure you're compliant with the challenge rules. You'll see in just a moment that we do ask you to comply with a challenge agreement before you can submit. So it is important to make sure you're following all the rules. And if you don't know, if you have questions, reach out and I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, when you're ready, you'll click Solve This Challenge. If you don't yet have a HeroX account, you'll be prompted to create an account. I am already logged in. And so the first thing I'm going to see is that challenge specific agreement, which discusses the rules. It discusses the intellectual property. Everything is here. You'll want to read through this, make sure you're in compliance, and then you'll be able to accept. Okay, quick side note about your registration. This is just a feature of the HeroX platform. We recognize that challenges like this one are what you might call multimodal. You might be brilliant at computer science and have an idea for how to do something, but you need to find someone who knows more about cancer or cancer patients or patient navigation. And so you can say you want to join a team, or you want to create your own team that allows you to recruit people. So if you say you want to join a team, then that'll kind of put a flag out there when you go to the to one of the tabs I'll show it to you in a moment, where you'll see flags for people who are looking to join teams. For today, I'm just going to click I want to compete individually. All right. And then I can click Begin Entry. So I'm now in the challenge, and I can create my submission. So here's the submission form. Give yourself a title, your solution a title, and a quick short description, and you can upload an image. These two fields are optional. So is how did you hear about this challenge? But they are important for us as we build more challenges. So we do ask that you fill those in. Okay. Abstract. You can always see the character count if there is one for the number of characters you have in each field. Please note that the abstract could be shared publicly, so do not put anything proprietary or private in the abstract. Your name or your organization, your geographic location, navigation areas addressed. So these specific navigation areas are called out in the guidelines and described. These are the areas of a cancer patient navigator's job that they try to address on behalf of their patients. So these are multi-select, but you do want to self-select into which ones your solution meets. Talk about the problem that you're addressing with your solution. As much as possible, you've got 2,000 characters here. Quantify it if you can. Give supporting data. These fields, you'll notice this is called a WYSIWYG editor. This allows you to format your submission. So if you prepare it, for example, in Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and it has formatting, if you copy it and paste it in, that formatting will retain. It also allows you to paste in images and tables and figures. So you can provide extra context and data about your solution as you go. Then we get to your actual solution. So this is 3,000 characters. So this is about a page. So in detail, how does it work? What makes it unique? Reminder, as you're building this, keep those judging criteria open. Think about turn the judging criteria questions into a checklist and make sure you can check off every one of them or as many as you possibly can. If you have shortfalls, this is innovation. Talk about them. Talk about, where you're coming up short, but you have an idea as to how you could solve it. That's okay. But we want to know that you've thought about all those things. So this next field is optional, but if you have a Git repository where code can be shared, please provide it here. Make sure that permissions are set so that it can be viewed by the judges. And you can prepare a video up to 10 minutes. You can upload that video to a platform like YouTube or Vimeo. And just, if you don't want that video to be shared publicly, there are permissions, privacy settings that you can add so that it's only viewable to those that have that link, and then copy that link and put it in here. But do make sure that it can be viewed by the judges. One way to test that is to open up a private or incognito window and test it yourself. Make sure that you can access it. And then we do want to know the data sources that you used. That's exciting to us. We want to know how folks are leveraging the data. And then another required field is your technical documentation. You can upload up to 3 screenshots. And then user personas. You'll notice as you read through the guidelines that there's a lot of mention of patient centricity, that this is about the patient. This is about improving their experience and improving the experience for the navigator. So your persona may be a patient navigator. It may be a patient, maybe a doctor, or you may have multiple, but describe them here and how your solution helps them, or how they relate or provide input to your solution. Integration with open data. This is in the guidelines. We wanted to know what open data you've incorporated, or what additional open data could be incorporated in the future. And then public health impact. Talk about what impact you believe this could have. If you can quantify that, that's all the better. If you know that this could be integrated with certain EHRs or certain health systems or digital health tools, and you know what kind of reach those tools have, then you can start to project or extrapolate the potential impact of your solution. Deployment plans and considerations. So we understand that the majority of solutions that will be submitted are being designed and prototyped for this challenge, to solve this challenge, which means it may not be deployed yet. So if there are considerations, if the solution is only going to work if more of a certain kind of data are made available, then put those in here. We want to hear, not only does this help us understand your solution and how to implement it if you win, but it also helps us understand how much thought you've put into your solution and its real world applications. And then team bios, we're really excited to hear about the teams that you've put together to solve these. So please put something exciting. Tell us about what you've worked on, what you're working on now, where you've been, what you'd like to do, and how important this is to you and why it's important. Any additional resources, you can provide a link here. You can also upload a document of additional resources. And any contact information, so an email address, just in case the person submitting on the platform is not the person that we should contact if we have questions or to tell you that you've won. Just enter that email address. If it's the same, just put your email address in there. And then finally, an agreement to terms. A big part of this is that solutions are not AI generated, that they are your solutions. And so we want you to finally attest to that. And then you can save and preview. You can save your submission all the way up to the challenge deadline and come back in and edit it. You can even submit and come back and open your submission back up and edit it if you have changes to make or things to add. Just make sure you submit again before that deadline. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go through quickly the tabs that we have here. This is our timeline tab. It is relative. So apologies, mine is in European time, but it does tell you where you are and what's coming up next. So 5 p.m. Eastern time is the submission deadline on April 3rd. Okay. Then judging will occur, and we will announce the winners by May 16th. I think we can probably add to this timeline now, the September 5th Datapalooza. We'll talk to Academy Health about when we can add that. That'll be exciting. But this is your timeline. If anything gets added, you'll be notified. Make sure you are following the challenge if you're not already. Quickly, updates. Updates are just ways that we can stay in touch with you. You'll see if you follow the challenge, you'll be automatically notified about updates. So there will be automatic reminders when we get close to the deadline. So follow the challenge so that you get those. Don't forget when the deadline is, April 3rd, 5 p.m. Eastern time. But this is also where you'll see the webinar recording posted. And that'll be up tomorrow or Monday. Okay, next, the forum. So right now we have 3 different categories in the forum. If there are specific data sets you want to talk about, rules and prize eligibility and teams joining a team, you can create new topics if they don't fit into any of these 3. This is constantly monitored. The challenge team receives notifications if you post questions here. So any questions, anytime, please post them. We will try to get back to you within 24 hours. Teams, this is the tab that I told you about where you can see anybody that's looking for a team. I'm going to jump to the FAQ. We have just a couple FAQ questions. We might add some more based on the questions that we received today. And then resources. So I'm going to quickly talk about these lower resources down here. And then we're going to go to Andre to talk about the M-code resource. So you can just bear with me 1 second. All right. Resources back up. Okay, I will try to go as quickly as I can through these so that we have time for questions. But the first one is Gravity Resources. So the Gravity Resources project is focused on developing data frameworks, data standards for capturing and sharing social determinants of health. The cancer care PROMS is patient-recorded outcome measures. That's this one here. And this is about valuable insights from cancer patients about their symptoms, treatments, side effects, quality of life. The next one is multiple chronic conditions. A lot of patients have multiple chronic conditions, which can complicate their navigation. It can complicate their care journey. So this provides a kind of a standardized way to document those and manage those conditions across different healthcare providers. The next one is the person-centered outcomes framework. This framework ensures that healthcare solutions focus on what really matters to patients. So their goals, their preferences. So this would help you in kind of rounding out your solution to ensure that it is patient-focused. So we encourage you to go through all of the resources and see if they might apply to you, see if they can help you augment your solution in some way. If you have time to add a feature because of them, that's great. That's excellent. If you find one interesting and you feel that you could implement it, but you run out of time, then talk about that in your submission. Talk about, oh, I think I could do this by implementing X. I just ran out of time and it would be really cool. And here's how I would go about it. We want to see that. This is an innovation challenge. So there's not so much, we're not so strict about your language in your submission. We want to make sure you meet all the criteria, but tell us what you're thinking. Tell us how you're approaching this. Finally, in this additional information and related resources, there's a whole slew of things we pulled together that might be helpful for you. The other resources that you see were provided by those partners that you saw on the homepage. These were specific resources that they said they thought could be helpful for the solvers. but the additional resources are ones we pulled together. It includes things like innovation accelerators, standards organizations, research and academic resources, technical communities and government programs, and industry collaboratives, and finally, open source tools and data standards. So that was a whole lot of information. I'm now going to turn it over to Andre Quina for more information. Andre is from MITRE, and he's going to talk about M-Code. Andre.
Great. And if you don't mind clicking into the link. So I'm Andre Quina. I'm a senior principal at MITRE focused on health data and interoperability. At MITRE, I lead our work on M-Code, or the minimal common oncology data elements. So what M-Code is, in the most basic form, is it's a common model that represents a prioritized set of data elements for cancer. M-Code was developed in partnership with major specialty societies in cancer, like the American Society for Clinical Oncology and the American Society of Radiation Oncology. It was developed together with some of the EHR vendors who provided input, with a number of health systems and leading oncologists. So basically what you get with M-Code is both a prioritized set of data elements, as well as the APIs around those data elements based on the HL7 FHIR standard. So it's the way that you would make the queries in via APIs into the electronic health record system to pull cancer patient data. And M-Code is prioritized based on a number of different focus areas or use cases. Those use cases bridge across cancer research, cancer registries, patient care, as well as payment and prior authorization. So what you get with M-Code is a pretty broad set of elements. They're prioritized, but it's still a lot. And so the linked document here at the top, if you want to click into that, what that does for this challenge, we've gone through the broad set of M-Code elements, and we've identified these are the elements as part of M-Code that are either named as part of federal regulations, like the CMS Enhancing Oncology model, or otherwise are identified as having higher priority to already be implemented by electronic health record vendors. So it gives you a smaller set that we call M-Code Core. And if you keep scrolling down, you can see here the background talking about the different programs that use this set of core M-Code elements. And what we've done is on the next page, it shows you an actual the table that goes through each of these elements that are prioritized. You can click in and get the descriptions of each of the elements. And then you can also understand which programs they might align to, just so you can see where they may be used or already implemented. And then at the end, there should be a visual so that you can see across all of the M-Code standard. Grayed out are the parts of M-Code that are not part of this core specification, and not grayed out are the elements within the definition of this core set that we believe are generally widely available within different electronic health record vendors. There's actually 8 major vendors that made commitments last year to do implementations of this set of elements that you see here. What we've also done, and it's linked at the top of the document, is provide testing capabilities. So if you do an implementation of this, you can actually go and get test suites that will tell you, do you have any issues with, is that first link up there in the first sentence. It'll link to a test suite that you can run against your tools that will tell you if you have any issues with your implementation that could impact your downstream integrations. And if you go back to the website, we have some additional resources around M-Code that we've linked to. Those additional resources, I'm still seeing, there we go. So additional resources at the top on the complementary resources. So we have several years worth of presentations from across the community talking about work around M-code. It's things like some of the EHR vendors talking about what they support and what they don't support as part of the standard, vendors like Epic, as well as health systems talking about their use of M-code and where they've adapted collection workflows to collect data in this format. What we also have is sample data. So we have a tool that MITRE released as open source called Cynthia. It's able to generate synthetic patient records. So we have a set of pre-generated records, several thousand records in M-code format, compliant with that FHIR standard, that you can use freely in order to build your implementations as you're developing things. That will also link you, if you go through that, you can find links out to Cynthia, and it allows you to adapt it to either generate different patients or to modify the generation process so that you can have patients that have the specific information in them that you're interested in. And then the last two here are, we have a framework that if you can generate a CSV file, it will actually convert that CSV file into all of the specifics for FHIR and M-code, so that, if you're not familiar with FHIR and M-code, it'll get you there a little bit more quickly. And then finally, a link to our GitHub repository that has a variety of other tools that you can take a look at. And so that's most of what I wanted to cover. You can take a look through these tools and see where it can get you started in having data, and data that you can reasonably expect to be able to get access to if you're integrating with electronic health record systems as your capability moves forward. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Andre, so much. This is a really important resource. All of the resources we have are vital to, and you can see how important these things are to these organizations, to build them, to develop them and maintain them and make them completely open and available, because they know that they're going to help solve the problems. So leverage them, read about them, and ask questions. If you, we have access to Andre and his team gracefully through this challenge. So if you post questions in the forum that are specific to M-code, we'll reach out to them and we'll get answers to your questions and post them for everybody. So thank you, Andre, so much. So at this time, we're going to turn over to some questions that we've received in the Q&A. So I'm going to start. We have just about 7 minutes left. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A pod. We'll get to as many as we can with the time that we have. We will be punctual today. If any questions go unanswered, we will post them as part of a follow-up with the recording and the slides, so that you get the answers to your questions. Okay. The first question we have is about open data, and indicating that their data are behind a firewall, and what is meant by open data. Open access data, data that anyone could access, is very important to this challenge. It is mentioned throughout the guidelines. It is a requirement of this challenge, and it is in those judging criteria. I think it's in the second one, which is, the second most important criterion that we have. So, I just want to make sure it's not in the first one. Okay, yeah, it's right here in the second one. So, now, if you have data that are private to you, private to your organization, behind your firewall, and those data can help you build your solution, for example, training a model. If you can use those data to train your model or build your solution, but your solution will run off of an open data source, that's fine. We want to know about the integration of the open data source, though. It is very important that these solutions can run on open data. It's a major theme of this challenge. Another question came in about the prizes. We call prizes cash prizes when there's no contract or grant or stipulation attached to the prize. The prizes will be an electronic transfer. So if the prizes come through HeroX, and I assume it's the same process, if the prizes come from Academy Health, but that's to be determined. But we will reach out. We will securely request your banking information from you. Make that transfer, destroy your information from our records after you've received your prize. Okay. One of the questions that came in is, I'm noticing in the terms of the challenge that submissions become the challenge sponsor's property and will not be returned. Can you talk more about this? This is a very important distinction. I'm glad this question was asked. There are items in the rules about intellectual property and in the challenge specific agreement. This statement from the terms of the challenge about submissions become the challenge sponsor's property is about the submission itself. The intellectual property remains yours. It is yours. You own it. If you win, you are granting a license to Academy Health to use it and talk about it at places like Health Data Palooza. They have a single free range license to do that. But your intellectual property is your own and stays with you. That statement came from the terms is about the submission itself, because Academy Health is hosting this challenge. This challenge is theirs, and you are agreeing to submit to it. Hope that helps answer the question. Are there any shared data sets containing patient cases, treatments, and outcomes? Let me look back at my notes. We had one about patient outcomes. Yes, the person-centered outcomes framework. Let's take a look at that one real quick. So these are look like FHIR standards, which means it's more of a framework. So with this, let me look. I don't have that one open. The additional resources document. If it's okay, I'd like to take this this question offline, and I'll post it in the forum following the webinar to see if we can pull together some resources of data sets that have to do with patient outcomes. Okay. The next question, will patients and cancer navigators be part of the challenge panel of judges? Yes, there will be representation from patients or patient representatives, patient advocacy groups, and cancer navigators. So yes. And we need actual data to train an LLM. So if you're training an LLM, large language model, I'm not sure this is the challenge for you. The majority of these data sets are focused on the problem that this challenge is trying to solve. I understand, but if you can pull something from the resources that we've made available, by all means. All right. So the next question I'd like to ask, Andre, can you talk about why integrating open data sets and APIs is important for cancer navigation? And if I can make it kind of a two-part question, what challenges do you think would a solver face in that integration process?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the importance of integrating across both the open data sets and APIs is to make sure that any solutions are both leveraging data that's going to be important to decision making as part of the navigation process. So clinical data, data on treatment and cancer specific variables, and that will be important to any kind of navigation process because it will be specific to those characteristics, and bridging that together with open data sets in order to have richer information to make decisions. I think the importance of APIs, and in particular standardized APIs, is so that any solution that you're bringing forward can scale across different vendors, different health systems, so that it's not just a solution that would fit in one location or with one technology. I think the key challenges though that you'll run into in doing this is that there is a fair amount of diversity in what you would see in the wild with respect to, for any cancer patient, what data is available, if available, what data is structured, and even things that you would expect would definitely be there, like basic staging information for a cancer patient. You can't always reliably expect that to be in a structured form. It may be in the clinical notes. So even with the standardized APIs, you have to have the expectation that you may make a request where the data isn't served via the APIs. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Thanks, Andre. It's really helpful. Our final question, I know we're a little bit over time, but Antara, I do want to ask, what is the long-term vision for the winning solutions here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say the funds are just like one step toward like the next step, right? But really in terms of who we have on the judging panel, we're putting a lot of thought behind it. So like I said, there will be sort of visibility by leaders in the field, from both oncologists as well as patient advocacy and ally groups, as well as health technology leaders. And so, if you have ideas that they want to advance with you, they will, and you will have the opportunity to partner and talk about how to do that. And then of course, the visibility, like I shared at Health Data Palooza, is really significant. So you will have access, the leaders will have access to seeing your innovation, and then can either work with us or directly with you to want to sort of facilitate the next step conversation to advance it. So hopefully you see a path toward where this can go once you submit.
Excellent. That's really exciting. Thank you all. We're going to wrap at this time. If we did not answer your questions, we will reach out and respond, or we'll post them in the forum if they were submitted anonymously. Thank you all so much for your time. I want to thank Antara and Lucas and Andre. Thank you for making time for this. This is a really important challenge, and we're very, very excited to see the solutions that come in. The solutions are due by April 3rd, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So please submit. We'll post the recording. We'll post the deck. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a great rest of your week.